I was thinking about New York City the other day and how my aunt and uncle of blessed memory used to say we could never live any place else but New York City. To me, it was very overcrowded, very scary with a crime problem, and at times very inconvenient. Their apartment was right next to train tracks, and trains came all night long, and it was so loud that it would shake the entire apartment building. I remember my uncle taking me onto one of those really old subway cars. I don't think these cars survived the 60s, but they were loud and they gave you a rough ride. And I would go in and it would be very, very crowded. I would grab onto the pole so I didn't get thrown to who knows where. But at the same time, I needed to cover my ears because it was deafening. I would look up at my uncle, and he'd be calmly reading the paper. He knew when to grab the pole. He had no problem with it. And everybody in New York seemed to be just walking around reading a newspaper back then. When my older children were very young, I used to take them up to New York. There was always a bus that went up to Manhattan early in the morning, and then in the evening they'd take you back. It was a very nice way to go, and we could meet my aunt or uncle for lunch and have the whole day up there. But there was this one day when I went up with my oldest daughter, and I knew it was going to be a very weird day. When we got there, the streets were full of tap dancers. They were setting the Guinness World Book of Records for the most dancers to be dancing at the same time, at the same place, which was the streets of Midtown Manhattan. Now, we were walking over to the Empire State Building. We wanted to go to the top. And we got to the top and looked down right when they were setting that world record. It looked like a colony of ants bobbing up and down. When we got back down to street level, we started encountering the usual New York craziness. People come up to you from out of nowhere and start talking at you, and they tell you all sorts of personal things and their opinions. Many of them have a word that they use to connect other words. It's a four-letter word that starts with F, and it's used many times during the course of each sentence. And I think my daughter perhaps found that to be a bit peculiar. Right at the place where we're supposed to catch the bus back to Baltimore, there's a little stage with a very small group of people around the stage, and on the stage there are these black fellows dressed in some kind of a tribal uniform, and they're preaching segregation. They're preaching how evil certain people like the Jews are, and basically saying a lot of things that I wasn't fully appreciating. They somehow thought that we were Native Americans, so they call out to us. They say, "What tribe are you from?" And I gave the brilliant answer, "I'm from the tribe of humanity." They didn't want really anything to do with me after that. And just to get on their nerves, I started singing at the top of my lungs, "Give Peace a Chance," which they rebuffed me in many ways. But the bottom line is my daughter was very, very happy when she got me on that bus going back to Baltimore. I guess I never go up to New York City anymore. I do pass right by it, though, when I go up hours north of New York City where my brother lives. It's very quiet there. It's a little small town. He for real knows everybody in the town there. He goes out, if we go to Main Street, everybody, "Hey, how you doing?" And everybody knows everybody else and what they're doing and what they're up to. Much different. And I think that's perhaps where my head is at, rather than being in New York City. One bit of housekeeping here before I end off. YouTube gives you a lot of analytics. And one thing I found very interesting was that over three-quarters of the people listening to my videos, my music videos, are not subscribers. And in talking to people, I find out that the people I talk to don't want to sign on to YouTube for whatever reason. But that's the only way you can give a like and the only way you can subscribe. So if you would do that for me, fine. You never have to sign on again. If not, enjoy the videos anyway. I am the old man. I am Josh, and I come to you 3 times a week to talk to you for 5 minutes. Let me know what you want me to talk about, because I can talk about anything for 5 minutes. So until next time, take care of yourself. Have a great weekend. See ya.